Hey Guardian, I'm seeing more and more new players jumping into Destiny 2 in the Destinyverse today, and especially now that things are ramping up for the Final Shape expansion, which signifies the end of the 10-year Light and Dark saga of the original Destiny game. Some new players are finding it difficult and downright confusing to jump in and get ready for this expansion coming in June. I was talking with a friend, average Destiny 2 player, in my last Roundtable episode, and his topic was on the new player experience and how he started a new character to see what new players now see starting their adventure in Destiny 2. I'll post the link to that episode in the show notes down below if you want to hear that one. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to root out all the problems and issues with the new player experience. So I've invited him back today and we're going to talk about that very topic. Not only were we going to share our experiences in the new player game, by the way, I did also start a new player account, but we're also going to share some tips that new Guardians can learn right away that may help mitigate the confusion. And who knows, some of these tips may help our more established Guardians as well. But fear not, Guardian, as there is some good news that we're going to share at the end of the show. It's time, Guardian. It's time to jump in. Have you ever wanted to jump into Destiny 2 but don't know where to start? Or maybe you're a current Destiny 2 Guardian but are hesitant to jump into a dungeon, raid, or play Gambit, Strikes, or Crucible. And for you established Guardians out there, maybe you ask yourself, I want to try something new in the game, but I'm hesitant due to the sharp learning curve or just need a roadmap. This is the Destiny Help Desk podcast, where myself and good friends of mine dive deep into the various topics of the game Destiny 2 and give you some great advice in whatever aspect of the game you want to improve. I'm your host, ToddtheGatr, with a combined 9,000 hours of game time in Destiny and Destiny 2. So yeah, you can say I'm a true fan of the game. And I invite you to also check out my YouTube channel, where there's a playlist of new and returning Guardian help videos available to guide you on your way. You can follow me on Twitter X at ToddtheGatr, and if you haven't already, join our Discord community at discord.gg/GuardianDownCast. That's my other podcast, where I hear the stories of our Destiny Guardians and share the latest news about the game. So without further ado, on with the show. He's a longtime Destiny player, a fellow Guardian Downcast community member from across the pond in the UK. He's a father, podcaster, and has his own community as well. Please welcome average Destiny 2 player. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, thank you, sir. How about yourself?
Yeah, I can't complain. It's been a good Saturday so far. We are recording on a Saturday, the 27th. Well, I wanted to start off by sharing our experiences as a new player today. We both created a new player account, and we went through actually different means to create our new account, our new character, I should say, not account. I went through the updated New Light system, the New Light campaign, via the Guardian ranks, which I'll talk about. But you went through the catch-up mechanic that is now in place for new Guardians who want to just jump in and get right into the fray, right? And can you explain why you created a new account, your situation, what made you do what you had to do?
Yeah, so I decided that with the obviously now you can change the character faces in the main screen. I decided that I wanted to create a few different Guardians. So originally I was going to change my female Awoken Titan to a male Awoken Titan. But in doing so, I wasn't actually happy with the look. And I'd been debating on whether to actually change over to a human male Titan for quite a little while. And I thought, well, now seems to be the time. So I obviously deleted my female Awoken Titan and created the male human Titan. Just because, this is something I'd been debating for a little while. So I just went for it just to, have a bit of a different look on the game, really.
Uh-huh. Please tell me you transferred everything into your vault before you did that.
I did. I did not make the mistake of just deleting
all your
the
exotics, everything. Oh my God, that would have been terrible. No.
Yeah, I brought all blue gear and everything that I could, and then obviously swapped it all over, put it in my vault, and then
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I made that mistake one time.
I
I was
obviously went ahead and did it because I have done that before. I have just deleted a character before and not actually transferred stuff over.
Yeah, I did that one time. It's all it took. I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to earn all that stuff over again. Yeah, that can be brutal. So, okay, so you switched over to a human Titan character, male, from a character you just didn't like anymore. And so how was that experience? I mean, what steps did you have to go through?
Obviously, as we say, I swapped all over my gear, went back out onto the change character screen, then hit the delete button. Now, when you obviously hit the delete button these days, you have to go through a bit of a process. So you can't just delete and, so you're sure you want to delete, yes, and then that's it. Nowadays, if you want to definitely delete a Guardian, you have to enter some sort of code, which is basically, say, I'm on an Xbox, so I had to do X, Y, LB, and RB. So you have to go through a bit of a process just to delete a character, which is good because if you do accidentally do it, or perhaps maybe somebody, i.e. one of your children, jump on your account and decide they just want to delete one of your characters. Yeah. This is obviously a bit of a safe way of making sure that you are 100%, certain you want to delete the character. So obviously did that. The characters have never changed. You can only select a certain few types of faces and hair and facial, paintings and stuff like that. Unfortunately, we can't get no beards or tattoos or anything. Nope. Probably will never happen either, sadly. Maybe Destiny 3, who knows?
Just going to say that.
And then, so loaded, obviously, created and loaded straight into the game and, saw the original cutscene from Destiny 1, which you always see when you create a new character. And then, jumped straight into it and did the first mission.
When you did the first mission, where they tell you how to jump and punch, it's very basic stuff. Like a vandal will jump out in front of you and it'll say, press this to melee. They'll read if you're using a keyboard or mouse or if you're using a controller, obviously, or whatever console you're using as well. And once you get through that and you'll go to Shahan, right? Is that where it ends? Just like the regular way of doing it?
Correct, yeah. So you basically go through the very first mission. Obviously, you meet Sean Han for the first time, and then you actually go and meet Navota. So you have to do that whole bit at the start, and then it finishes after you obviously meet Navota for the first time, and then you obviously fast travel back to Sean Han. You go through the motions of what he tells you, and then it opens up the possibility of either carrying on with the New Light campaign or skipping it.
So that's where the prompt comes up. I wasn't trying to drag out and explain the exact story. I just wanted to know when that prompt came up because when I did I did a full new account. I was just trying to test something and I recorded everything I did. I recorded I would put in a couple hours every night and record it every step of the way, just in case I wanted to make a video on it. And I learned a lot, but I didn't have that option to skip. So what did it tell you on the screen you could do? I mean, and where did you go from there?
It asks you to sync with Shaw Han's ship, which is on the left-hand side of him. So you go over, you sync with his ship, and then once you sync with his ship, it then tells you can either carry on with the New Light story or you can skip it. But it does warn you that once you've skipped it, there is no turning back.
Oh, so you cannot come back and play it.
Correct. So you then sync with his ship and you can choose to skip the New Light campaign.
So you'd opted to obviously skip it because you've already been through it. You're a veteran player. Yeah. So where does it take you when you hit skip? Where do you go from there?
It takes you straight back to the tower.
Okay. And then that's where they give you the preloaded configurations you can pick one of. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah. So you go back, you meet Zavala, and then that's when you go to, obviously, pick one of the preloaded configurations.
And what exactly do they give you with that? Say I pick the Void Warlock one, which I think was what they recommended for the New Light or new player for Warlock. What do they give you basically with that preloaded loadout? They
give you basic gear. So basic weapons, mostly. So I chose Arc for Titan. So they gave me basic, I'm sure it was legendary gear. And then they gave me some basic legendary weapons. And then they gave me all the jumps, all the and then obviously the abilities as well. And then they just gave you the 2 basic supers. So it gives you enough to start off on pretty much one super pretty much completed.
I got you. Okay. So it's a nice little starter pack, but did you find you still had to unlock the other fragments and aspects?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you had to buy those like you normally would, right?
You do. Yes. Yeah. There's no way around that.
I'm just trying to guide people through this new skip procedure because I don't know anything about that. I did it the other way. So I'm just trying to lay it out, just kind of lay in the field here of, what a new player sees when they come in and start this game. And being that, the final shape's coming up and Bungie has made so many changes in this game for everyone to be involved, not just the veteran players. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page there. And I'm learning like people who are listening right now are learning for the first time about, the skip part of it. Is there anything else you wanted to mention after you got your initial starter loadout? Did they pretty much just let you go?
Yeah. So it basically auto completes a new light campaign that disappears from your quest tab. And then it immediately gives you the Risk Runner exotic quest to get the Risk Runner. And then that is pretty much it. They just leave you to your own devices.
Wow. Boy, they just throw you right out there, don't they?
They chuck you right in at the deep end, so to speak.
Wow. Okay. So at this point, you're probably hoping, if you're a new player, that you have a friend that has invited you to the game and he's going to take you by the hand and say, okay, let's go do these activities or let's go do this story mission. Or I'm assuming that's probably what they're expecting to happen here, because a new player is going to have no clue.
No, exactly. So if you're going to go into it just thinking, well, actually, I just want to play the game, I want to get straight into it, I'm not bothered with the new light campaign, and then you're suddenly just greeted by, everything is ready to go in the world, you're like, well, hang on a minute, where do I start? It doesn't tell you to start anywhere. It doesn't give you any clue as to where to start. So realistically, unless you've got a friend playing the game, I really wouldn't advise skipping it because you're going to have no clue.
And we're going to talk about that shortly. Some of the shortfalls with people trying to, come into this game that don't know anything about the game. And we're going to talk about some stuff that really were hanging new players up from either videos we've seen or personal experience. And then, after we lay out the problems, we're going to give you guys some tips on, things that might bring you up to speed, or at least help you bring you up to speed if you do decide to whatever method to go. Well, excellent, man. Thank you for sharing that. Now I did it a different way, and this is before I had the option. I did this probably about I want to say 6 or 8 weeks ago. It used to be there was a New Light campaign. It was pretty discombobulated. It would basically bring you to all these different areas where you had no clue what was going on, and Bungie at least made some effort to improve that somewhat. And I said, you know what? I haven't done a new character in a long time, a new account actually. I said, let's find out, what's involved with this new system if I was a new player with new eyes coming in. And yes, listeners, I do realize that I'm a 10-year vet of the game and that it's going to be impossible for me to see exactly what a New Light player sees. But the one thing I noticed is, although you probably don't know a lot of the characters, who they are, or what's going on as far as the story, you go through that same cutscene that average Destiny 2 player mentioned. You go to Shahan, and instead of me skipping it, which I didn't have the option at the time, I said, let's keep going. Well, there's a few fetch quests, a few little go here, do this, defend this area while the ghost reads it and things like that. It's like a little mission that works its way up through the Cosmodrome, and it ends on the, probably one of the original Destiny 2 story campaign, Destiny 1, I'm sorry, story campaigns. And it ends there, and then you have a ship, you're flying back into the tower, and then that's where the Guardian rank kicks in. Just so you know, there's 11 Guardian ranks. There's 11 levels in the Guardian rank system. And level 1 means you basically started from scratch. As soon as you fly into the tower, you're level 1. And level 2 is called Explorer, and this is from the todayindestiny.com/Guardian ranks. If you want to look this up, I'll put this link in the show notes. But the Explorer level, which is level 2, means you need to complete the New Light quest, A Guardian Rises. And basically A Guardian Rises is their new version of the New Light experience. It teaches you all the basics of playing Destiny 2. And once you complete that, you are now level 2 Explorer Guardian. Now, what I really like about this Guardian rank system, and I didn't realize this when they made Guardian ranks back with Lightfall, it gives you a list. It gives you a step-by-step list. You can pull this up and in your game tab, in your game menu, and scroll to it, and it will tell you exactly where you're at, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to progress to the next level. Just some things to get to level 3 after that: complete First Contact on Neptune, discover the EDZ, land on EDZ and meet Devrim K. You need to do an EDZ public event. You need to go explore Nessus, meet Failsafe, the NPC there. You need to run some patrols on Nessus. You need to run a lost sector in Nessus. Once you do all of that, you're on to level 4. Level 4, you need to complete the Learning Light quest, which what this does is it increases the customizability of your light subclasses. It's kind of trying to teach you how to build craft, basically. It tells you about aspects and fragments and how you put these together in combinations to do certain things in your build. And that is under your subclass on your upper right-hand corner. That is your subclass for your character, whichever one you decided to choose. I, of course, chose Void. You need to purchase some aspects. You need to purchase some fragments. They're going through. They're showing you what you need to do to acquire those. Basically showing you on the menu how to do it, how to acquire an aspect, how to get a fragment, how to slot it in the right place to make sure it counts. Then there's a light subclass quest that you get from my core array, and it'll step you through step by step what to do there. Then you start meeting some of the NPCs around the tower, like the gunsmith. This is where you get your gun bounties, and you can get all kinds of different kinds of rewards, whether it's a gunsmith engram, which will get you a legendary weapon or armor. It also could give you some enhancement cores, which is it's an important part of the economy of being able to upgrade gear. You collect a glimmer is one of the requirements. Collecting legendary shards, which this was the biggest hang up for me when I tried to do this. Legendary shards just don't fall everywhere. I believe you can get a couple at a time by running strikes, but unless you dismantle legendary gear, it's really tough to get legendary shards. The good news is legendary shards are going away in Final Shape, so we don't need to worry about that part. But if you need to get that shards acquired quest done, you have to get 9 of them. Then you won't advance in the Guardian rank. Then it tells you how to go to the gunsmith and complete gunsmith bounties to get enhancement cores. Arming up. Purchase weapons from Banshee 44. It shows you how to do that. And then once you complete that part, it actually will show you how to modify your gear, whether it's upgrading your ghost, which is very, very important. You apply your shaders to your gear and to your armor and your weapons. And you're saying there's an issue with the shader step?
When you actually first start Destiny 2 as a new person, you don't have any shaders whatsoever. There was no shaders at all anywhere.
Wow.
So for that step of the Guardian ranks rank up system, you might get confused because you can actually buy a free year 1 shader pack from Eververse. It's free. It doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
And it gives you some basic shaders from year 1. Now, it doesn't tell you that.
Oh boy.
Nowhere does it actually say to the new player, by the way, you need to apply a shader, but you can get a shader from either A, Eververse, or B, AD1 in the tower. So if a new player stumbles onto that step and they're like, well, hang on a minute, where do I get shaders from?
Right.
They're not told.
Right.
So that could be a bit of a hang up for a new player, which I think something that needs to really kind of be addressed.
Well, maybe if they even had a flashing beacon over Eververse saying, come to Eververse, come over here. But you're saying there's nothing that tells you that. So we're telling you, if you're listening to the show, that you need to go to Eververse and just acquire the shader pack. That's probably what I did. And because I know Eververse and new players aren't going to know Eververse, that makes sense that they give you a starter pack. And then once you apply it, that completes the step. And then upgrading your ghost, you have to spend, I believe it's, there's mods in a ghost. And I made a video about this a long time ago. And, you can actually masterwork your ghost where it can hold, I think up to 10 slots, and every mod requires so many slots. That could be an entire podcast on its own, but just know that upgrading your ghost, which cost glimmer, legendary shards, and it cost, I believe, enhancement cores at the end up in the higher levels. So you have to have these materials. And this is the problem I ran into, Average. I was doing the free-to-play account. I did not spend a dime. But I found if I wanted to get these economic resources, the legendary shards and the enhancement cores to be able to upgrade my ghost, I think I finally just got impatient, and I went ahead and paid the $10 and bought the season pass bar, because there's a free version of the season pass bar, and then there's a paid version. And the free version gives you a little bit of a taste right at the beginning, but then it gets very sparse on what they give you after a certain point. And when you buy the $10 season pass bar, the purchase track, you're getting 50 legendary shards, you're getting enhancement cores every so often, you're getting all of these materials in order to upgrade your ghost and further your guardian rank. Well, once you do all of that, what I just said, you'll go to guardian rank 5, which is called adventurer. You have to run a Spark of Hope mission where you acquire the Risk Runner. It's a exotic submachine gun. You need to masterwork it, which means you need to, you have to complete some objectives, usually get kills with it, get a catalyst for it. You got to apply the catalyst, and that's all part of that mission. And then they start getting into the playlist, the actual activities that rotate every week with certain rewards. You need to play the Vanguard, you have to acquire some Vanguard bounties. You need to go play the Vanguard Ops missions, which is the playlist in the activities bar. You need to complete Vanguard bounties, in other words, turn them in. And then you need to give these things called commendations. It's kind of like a slap on the back for when you play a Strike or a Crucible game, any activity where it's involving matchmaking. You basically give a person an accommodation, whether they were helpful or best dressed or whatever. And I'll be completely honest here, as good-hearted as Bungie was in their intention to make this create camaraderie amongst players in activities, it was just something that people did just to get certain requirements met. And people were just indiscriminately just, sending accommodation to somebody, not really because they were a good player or they were helpful or nice or whatever. They're just giving them out just to complete. We're gamers. We want to do stuff just to complete and check the box right on the list. Then you'll go meet Lord Shax. You'll go meet Drifter, who runs the Gambit. Collect weapons, increase the number of legendary weapons in your collection. You have to collect 9 of those and also 10 pieces of legendary armor. And the only play you do that is playing the activities. Stuff just drops for you. Or in the world, in chests and things, you can get things as well. Then finally you reach the veteran, which is where I ended up, by the way, on my free-to-play account. Well, I say quote free-to-play account because I did have to buy the $10 season track. Now, I didn't have to buy it, but there was really limited places that I could acquire legendary shards. If you go to the Cryptarch, which is where you transact all different exchanges for materials and exotics and things of that sort, there's no way to buy legendary shards. This is the problem I was running into. So I had to basically cannibalize some of my legendary gear, whether I knew it was good or not. I had to cannibalize it and dismantle it in order to get the 3 to 4 shards, legendary shards from it. So that again is the reason why I went ahead and spent the $10 for the season pass. And that way it wasn't really completely free to play, but it wasn't required. I had to do it, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to speed up the progress of the Guardian ranks. So there's a first contact mission on Neptune you need to do. Then you need to meet the vendor on Neptune. Your season rank. The next step is to increase your season rank. That's the season pass bar. You do that by doing anything. Anything, bounties, whatever creates XP will eventually increase your season rank bar. I think everyone kind of knows what that is. That's in just about every online game out there these days. You need to get the season rank 7, which isn't too difficult. You need to complete some seasonal challenges. They're separate challenges just for the season you're playing in, but what they really are just bounties. Or it's another list of things that they want you to do in this season. and there's quite a few of them. And it used to be when the season would first arrive, they would unlock, or they would show 1 week at a time. But if you're coming into this season right now, all 10 weeks have already been laid out for you, and you can go through them and see if there's something that will be easy for you to do and complete that. That'll complete the checkbox. You only have to, you have to do 4 seasonal challenges to get that completed. Then you, have to acquire your seasonal artifact. That usually means you have to run the opening mission to the seasonal story, and it's free. It's free to everyone. Everyone can run the first seasonal story. You get the, artifact. Then you need to activate 3 perks on it. And then you need to rank up via XP by playing anything, your power bonus by 3 points. And I'm running through this very quickly. You can see this on the website. Then you need to modify your armor. This is where you need to equip slot-specific mods on your armor, your head, arms, chest, and legs. You need to increase the energy of a piece of armor. That's increasing the slots that the armor can accept. That takes currency as well. You have to do that on 2 pieces of armor. You have to masterwork a piece of armor twice. You need to get an enhancement prism, which you can get from reputation rank up rewards. You can go through a vendor. There's several ways to get it. You can even purchase these enhancement prisms by spending enhancement cores. I know we're getting deep in the woods here, but stay with me here. Soft cap. You need to reach the soft cap of 1750, which the only way you can do that is to slowly do your powerful rewards and pinnacle rewards until you finally get to 1750. I'll admit that took me a little bit of time to do from 1600, which was the floor. And then all you have to do to complete the last step is go talk to the Trials of Osiris vendor, and that is Saint 14 over in the docks on the tower. Once you do that, you go to rank 7, where you can possibly be called an elite guardian. This is where the paywall comes down. Anybody who does the free-to-play account can make it to level 6 on the guardian rank. But once you get to level 7, if you want to complete level 7, you have to complete the Lightfall campaign. You need to get vendor reputation from Nimbus and Neomuna, Lightfall missions in Neomuna, and some other things from there. So that's where I'm going to stop, because that's where I did stop when I did the new player experience. I know that I dragged it out long here, but I just wanted to spell out exactly what new players need to do if they want to get to that rank 6, which should get you, I don't know if you agree with this or not, Average. This should get you, if you get to veteran level 6 guardian rank, you should be set to pretty much play anything in the game. Am I right there?
I would say you're pretty much set up to do that then, yes, yeah, because you've unlocked your mods.
Yes.
You've got your legendary gear, you've got an exotic, you're steadily earning decent gear to get you up to that soft cap of 1750. So, you can then press on from there pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing I did find out is there were some mods for your armor, like arc resistance mods, things that were part of a season at some point that you had to purchase. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Average. I'm pretty sure I double checked this. You had to move up or buy an expansion in order to unlock those mods. I think that was part of the next level up. So
yes,
because I'm on level 6 on this new free to play account, and some of the mods, the resistance mods and stuff, cannot be unlocked until I moved up to level 7. And in order to get rank level 7, you have to purchase some of the expansions. Lightfall, I believe, is the one we need to worry about here for this time of year. But anyway, we spelled out everything we went through in the new player experience, and you can see that list is exhaustive. Geez, Average, I think I want to do your route, because how long did your explanation take? 10 minutes?
Not very, probably not even that.
So now I hear you saying, that sounds pretty complicated now that you've spelled it out. Maybe I'll just go play another game. Trust me, it's much easier to do all this when in game. The one shortfall of an audio podcast is that it's tough to visualize all these requirements, right? But just know this. If you pick one thing on the Guardian rank checklist at a time, and don't try to rush through it all, and certainly don't get overwhelmed, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll do a good job. I think you'll really get a lot out of it. I created this episode to lay it all out for you so you know what to expect. Even though there is a new Skip Guardian campaign option now, I really encourage you to try it out. You can always opt out anytime while playing through it and just get through the skip method. But I must say that I really enjoyed the process of going up through the Guardian rank system. And even though you won't understand the story elements of the game entirely, you will gain a good understanding of how the game comes all together. It wasn't fun in the past iterations of the new player campaign, but I think Bungie did an okay job trying to teach you via the Guardian rank system, which was only introduced last year with the Lightfall expansion. So take a deep breath and give it a try is all I'm asking. So now that we have talked about our experience with the new player system, now it's time to get down to the core problems of this system and give you some tips on how to sail right through it with less confusion. So let's get into it. Now that Average and I have both done the new player experience, we want to give you some tips. We want to give you some tips on what we think will help you get further or understand the game a little bit more, or some of the hiccups that some of the new players encountered, whether it was us or through people we witnessed. And Average, you want to go and start with one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the problems that people do sort of run into, which can be quite early on in the game, is obviously that sometimes the waypoint can be a bit confusing, and sometimes it disappears completely. So what the game doesn't teach you, which is what we will teach you now, is if you do have any problems with where you need to find out where to go, or, you need the waypoint to come back up again, you can actually bring out your ghost, and the ghost will obviously then show you the waypoint on your screen and bring the waypoint back, and then help you decide, teach you the direction that you've got to go into. So I think I heard that was a bit of an issue with new players, the actual waypoint disappearing. So, but it doesn't tell you how to get it back up on screen. But that is the easiest way to do it, is just pull out your ghost and it'll show you the way again.
Yeah, I found that out early on in my Destiny career, that the ghost is your friend. It will show you the way, that's for sure. Another thing that we mentioned on the list here is that every time you log in, and this happened to me as well when I was logging in a couple hours a night when I was going through the new player experience, is that every time you log in, you'll get a different pop-up. Pop-ups are very numerous when you log into the game. Most games you log in and it'll go right, you have a save point, you'll go right back to where you left off. Well, when you fly in with your ship, right as you log into the game and you pick your character to play on, there's going to be these pop-up screens. And what would you say is the best thing to tell people, Average, when these pop-up screens happen? Should they just ignore them, dismiss them? What do you think, man?
Well, some of them can be just telling you that perhaps maybe something's become available in the Bungie store, or there's a special offer on Bright Dust or Silver. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they can obviously just explain,
what's coming up the next week, like what activities,
exactly, yeah,
featured activities, yep.
Yeah, which that's a handy one. That's a really good one. So, stuff like that, have a look at. So have a quick read of it, so you know what's coming up. Some of the, obviously, pop-ups can be very informative, but quite a few of them are literally just telling you about stuff you can buy in the store.
Exactly.
So I mean, I'd advise you to just skip past them, unless, of course, you look at it and you think, well, actually, that looks quite good. I might go for that. But, most of them that are quite informative, I'd say just take a few minutes, take a minute to just have a read of it, because it might tell you something that you didn't know that you might need to know, such as what's happening next week in Destiny. And yeah, just take a minute, have a read, and then just skip it and get on, carry on with the game.
Yeah, it's very jarring when you're trying to learn a game and all of a sudden all these information pop-up screens pop up in front of you and block your view. Even you have to dismiss them if you want to get by it and start playing the game. So I guess the thing we're trying to say is some of this may not even apply to you. If you want to buy the next, if they're promoting a campaign that they suggest that you should purchase, it's up to you. But you still want to be a free to play player, just dismiss all these screens and don't let it confuse you or get you all upset. And I've had a lot of players who jump in here and these screens that keep popping up just drive them crazy. Now, another thing I will tell you here as well, if you decide to buy a season, the next time you log in, you are going to get the very first cutscene of that season you purchased. And most people don't know this. If you don't want to run that mission right away, you can just dismiss it. You got to hit it a couple times, but you can dismiss it and actually go back to orbit. But if you want to play it out and you're ready to play the new season, you want to know the seasonal story, then just let it play. But most people have no idea, average, what the hell is going on in these cutscenes. It's a really big problem because people are just learning how to play the game. They want to wander around the worlds and shoot aliens in the head and get the feel for their guns. Maybe they want to jump in and play some Crucible or some Strikes, just trying to feel things out. And then they just get into these jarring cutscenes where they have no context of what's going on. Most of them don't know the characters in the game. And this is the part where we don't know how to help you. Well, we do, but you're not going to like our answer. What would you say is the best way for people to learn the characters in Destiny, Average? What is your opinion of it? And I'll give you mine.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you say. I mean, obviously, you know, with so many years to the game and so many seasons, there's a lot of characters that have come in and out of the game. There's a few that have obviously, you know, been written out. So it can get quite confusing to the new player being sort of, you know, pulled into these cutscenes for the latest season. And then suddenly a character appears on the screen. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Who's this? You know, what has this character got to do with the universe? Because this character obviously is, you know, quite an established character, but I don't know anything about them.
Right.
Because it's the same, you know, it's the same when you go back to the tower for the first time. You know, you meet.
Yeah, you meet the vendors, right? They go around and hold your hand and show you the vendors.
And of course you meet,
Amanda Holiday.
Amanda Holiday. Yes. Yeah. When you first land in to the tower.
That's right.
After you've done the new light campaign, you meet her. And then the next thing you know, you go back to the tower and she's dead.
She's gone. And she's not there anymore.
Yeah. No. And it's kind of like, well, you know, Cade is kind of explained as, you know, he was taken by Prince Aldrin. So there's kind of a bit of backstory to that. But if the new player's sort of going into the tower into the first time after the new light campaign, you know, 1 minute she's there and the next minute she's dead, you're kind of a bit like, well, hang on a minute, what's going on? So yeah, it does get confusing for the new player, like you said yourself.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I've gone on a bit of a tangent there. So
it's easy to do because there's so much to cover here and we only have so much time. That's the problem. This is the problem we had in the Roundtable episode is we had 4 other people who had stories and we're just like, man, we could do an entire podcast on just this subject and you can see how deep it goes. But I would say if you want to know the original story of Destiny, I would recommend going and playing the original Destiny game. Not saying you need to go play the activities and stuff, the match-made stuff. All you need to do is just run the campaign. And yes, it's going to cost you some money to buy Destiny, the original game, but it will basically get you through all the cutscenes, all the history, all the way up through level 18, I believe it is, where one of the characters leaves you and it just kind of leaves everything wide open from there. But another thing too, Average, is all the different expansions of the Destiny game, which I would assume they would include those if you bought the Destiny game. But if you really want to know the story of Destiny and the characters within it, it's such a deep story. But one thing you can do, there's a couple different ways. Obviously, there are some lore podcasts out there that talk about lore entries in the game that explain characters and what their relationships were with each other. But I'll tell you right now, the lore goes so deep as well that even some of us veterans, I'm learning all the time new stories in the game and the deep lore in the story, but it's, I hate to say it. The other method is to go to YouTube. If you want to know the quickest who Cade 6 is, then just Google Cade 6 or go to YouTube and search for Cade 6. And someone I'm sure has a video out there saying, this is who Cade 6 is. And they'll explain to you the relationships. It sounds very cumbersome, I know. But if there's any game that's worth playing, whether it's Elden Ring or these Souls-like games out there or the MMO games out there that have very deep lore and content and story, then if you really want to know about it, this is the best way to do it. So anything you want to add to that, Average?
I was just going to say, probably, if you really want to learn, the backstory, like you say, I completely agree. One of the best ways is probably YouTube. There's quite a few Destiny 2 content creators out there that actually give you a breakdown of what's happened in the Destiny story so far. So if you do want to learn what's been going on, you want it, if you want it in a simple way, you just want to know, what's happened from A to B, then there's quite a few videos on YouTube that will tell you it within sort of 20 minutes, half an hour of the basic timeline of Destiny. Either that, if you really want to delve straight into it, then again, there's YouTube videos that, you could watch for probably an hour and a half that go a bit deeper into it. So there are ways and means. Would kind of be a bit nicer if the game told you it rather than a YouTube video, but at least there is something out there for new players who really want to get into the game and learn the history of it. They can actually just go and jump on and watch and then, get back to it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've both shared our experience playing the new light experience. We've kind of mentioned a few things that, some of the major things that can be really troublesome in the game, but let's just shotgun it here. Let's just go down the list. Anything you want to mention, Average, let's just throw it out there, and let's just give some really quick hot take tips that people might not know about the game if they're starting this game. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, you want to start? Or you want me to?
No, you start, and then I'll pick another. Yeah, I'll pick one.
When you first play the game, voice chat is on by default. So a lot of new players may not know this, but if you have a mic in your controller or you have a headset on or something, know that voice chat is on by default. So you might need to go to your settings in your menu, and I think you go to gameplay and or social. I think it's social, and you can turn that voice chat off. There is a text chat as well. You can text in the game, whether it's on PC or on a console, and you can turn that on or off. If you don't want to get text if you decide to join a clan, you can communicate to your clan that way. I've been kind of experimenting with that lately. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to communicate with the clan while you're playing the game, but it can get spammy. So that's up to you. But if you go to social on your main settings on your game, and just scroll down to voice chat and text chat, you can turn those off, but just know voice chat is on by default. So if you don't want to, be heard yelling at something, your dog or whatever, and while you're playing a Crucible game, then you might want to turn that off. You see what I'm saying? So that's one. That's a quick one.
One that I would obviously suggest is the game actually gives you legendary weapons quite early on. Mm-hmm. Which is good because it means that it gives new players the experience of, these powerful legendary weapons more or less at the start. And also you can get your first exotic very early as well, thanks to Shorhan. So you can pick up a key off him, and then I will advise you to, because it doesn't actually tell you once you've picked up the key where to go. So once you've picked the key up off him, if you turn round and go into the little underground part of the building that he's standing by, you go to a chest and you can use that key, and it actually gives you the boop cannon, as we call it. I can't actually remember what the name. I actually got that the other day, and I forgot all about it. It was on a character. It was dormant. I was trying to bring back. I'm going to talk about that because in the end, we got good news, guys. We got good news. Don't get bogged down by all this stuff we're trying to throw at you right now, but pick and choose what'll help you. But, I forgot all about that as well. On an account I had dormant that I forgot to get the key and go open up that chest right behind him. So yeah, good point. And, the good old boop cannon is fun as well. In Crucible PvP or in PvE. It's really fun to use. Let's see. Another quick tip here. The game doesn't really tell you how to slide. This could be because of, the sliding shotgun sweats in the Crucible, but it's handy in PvE too if you need to get out of cover quickly. So it'd be nice if they can explain how to do that, but look at your controller configuration in your menu, and you can actually they have preset, like lefty, righty. I use Puppeteer, which means my slide and my melee are all on the R3 key. I just press down my R stick, and that's how I slide. But when you're running, if you press your I believe is it your melee? Yes.
Yeah, you press your melee while you're running, you slide, and you can move out of really sticky spots. by sliding. And it's just one of those things that people don't know about until they actually accidentally do it. So, yeah, there's another quick one. What else we got, Average?
So another quick one here is the actual description for Glimmer isn't great. It's claimed as being used for both craft and as a fuel, which it isn't. Right. So Glimmer is your main currency and you will use it for everything. There's actually a resource tab that isn't mentioned, but I do advise new players to go and check that out because it is a great addition. Given how important the various currencies and materials are, I think the game really should introduce the new players to some of them at some point along their journey, but unfortunately it doesn't do that. So if you're wondering what these legendary shards look like or these enhancement cores, there is actually a tab in the main Guardian screen that you can just tab over. If you tab over to the left, I think it's twice, and then it shows you your exotics, your gear, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's under your collections tab, right?
That's it. Collections tab. Yeah. You can just go over there. You can press on, currencies, materials, resources, and it will explain every single resource that you can pick up in the game. And it explains them really well. So
that's a great tip.
Yeah. Fully advised going for that one.
Yeah. You got to know, what currency, what are you working so hard for to collect? You have to know what it's used for, and it'll give you a little explanation of that. And sometimes it'll even tell you how to get it, where to get it. So, yeah, good call on that one. That's one I didn't think of.
We go through, obviously, the New Light campaign, mentioning quite a few issues with what it does tell you, what it doesn't tell you. But when it actually does tell you what the game does, it explains it in a really good way and an easy enough understand way to do it. So the kind of the points that I was making was I don't want to completely say the New Light experience is trash. Right. Because it's not completely trash and useless. Right. It does actually do some of the parts that help you in the game really, really well. So when it does it does them well.
The Guardian rank would be under your, what tab would that be under? It would be under your journey. It's under the journey tab.
Yes.
And then you have your Guardian ranks at the top of the screen, and you just click on that. The next rank up, click on that with your mouse or with your controller, and it actually will show you your list of what you need to do. And if you click on the X button or mouse and keyboard, I'm not sure what the command is, depending on how you labeled or mapped your buttons, you can actually track it. And when you track it, it'll actually tell you sometimes on the map where you need to go to do it. So if it's something like equip 2 pieces of legendary armor or upgrade 2 pieces of legendary armor, it may not tell you explicitly how to do that. But just know that if it's something where you need to go somewhere to do, if you're tracking it, it will give you a waypoint on the map of where you need to go to at least get started on it. So, man, just going through these myself, there's so many so many things.
Yeah, there is quite a few.
Wow.
Another one what I wanted to point out was obviously, the ammo system isn't explained.
That's true.
You've got your green for your special, and then you've got your purple bricks for your heavy. But I don't think anywhere in the game that's actually explained what your ammo economy is. One of the reoccurring themes from the New Light experience was people were expecting you to be able to just carry an infinite amount of ammo.
Right.
And all these bricks laying on the floor, people can kind of, some thought it was even loot. Some thought that perhaps maybe this was loot that they might be able to pick up. And then when they tried picking it up, it would stay on the floor, So, I think that can lead to you feeling a bit confused and overwhelmed because nowhere does it explain that once you're on full on ammo, you cannot now pick these up. So they will forever be on the floor.
Right.
I think it could confuse new players as to what they actually are. So I think that could do with being better explained so people aren't quite as confused as to what, the little green and the little purple bricks mean.
Right, right. And just to clarify, there are 3 types of ammo. You have your primary, your special, and your heavy. And if you look at your character on all 3 of your weapons, you have 3 different columns. And each weapon will tell you what kind of ammo it takes, whether it has a green brick by it or whether it has a grayed out brick by it. That would be your primary ammo. Primary ammo, as of now, is unlimited. But your green ammo and your heavy ammo, which is always in the bottom spot, the bottom third spot, those are your heavy weapons. Always take the heavy block, and that's the purple block that you see on the ground. So, yeah, just to explain further what the ammo types are in the game, which you would think would have been explained, but apparently is not explained in the game.
Yeah, I think probably another one is more explanation of how to sort of explain how to use or equip set abilities. Sometimes it will tell you how to equip it, but like, for example, the Titan Thunder Punch, there's no actual explanation on to keep it held down and to then sort of, let it go so you can use the Thunder Punch. Considering that abilities are a massive part of Destiny 2 and, they are some of the most fun and satisfying things in the entire game, it is a bit sad that the game doesn't even tell you really how to equip them and change them.
Yeah.
And also it doesn't tell you what the abilities do and, why they're powerful and how they work. So, I think because of this, I bet a huge percentage of new players just run around with their default super, unupgraded abilities, and then wonder why they eventually become weak and boring. Because unless you know how to equip new grenades and different, because I don't even think it tells you the different jumps that you have. So these are that's what we all know, that space magic is what makes Destiny the game it is. So it should be one of the most important parts of the game, and the fact that it doesn't kind of tell you how to swap your abilities around, swap your supers, etc., can be a bit disappointing, because it is a case of how many people have actually ran around the game playing Destiny 2 only running in an Arc or Void.
Yeah, I bet you.
Not knowing that you can make, not knowing you can make them even more powerful by slotting in this aspect and running it with Child of the Old Gods or, Vortex Grenade, etc., etc.
Right.
So it is a bit sad that that's not quite explained as well as it should be. So, but hopefully that's something that will eventually change,
Yeah, and under your super ability, if you scroll over your super ability, it'll drop down, and usually there's 2 or 3 other types of supers. It's just not one type of, like, if you have a Nova Bomb Warlock, what you probably don't know, there's 2 different kinds of Nova Bombs. There's one that's fast and smaller, but is a energy ball that sits on the ground for a certain period of time and then disappears. You have another one called Cataclysm that actually is a giant slow moving ball that's enormous. And once it hits something, breaks into little seekers. And that's the Nova Bomb, but there's 2 different kinds of Nova Bombs. And then there's a third Void subclass on the Warlock. I'm going to talk about the Warlock specific here because that's what I mean, where you can actually wander around and emit void energy like a force out of your chest and explode enemies. So there's 3 different supers just under a Void Warlock. And you would never know that. They give you the basic Vortex Nova Bomb as the default, but there's probably a lot of characters out there, or a lot of players out there that are still using the default one that they gave you, like you mentioned, Average. There's different kinds of grenades. There's different kinds of jumps. Every character has an ability. For instance, hunters can dodge. They can dodge out of the way when they're in trouble. A warlock can throw down like an energy well that'll heal them. Titans are useless. I mean, what I meant to say was Titans can put up a barrier wall to protect them. And there's different types of barrier walls. So all I would suggest you doing when you're going through your aspects and fragments menu and on your character is to just explore, look around, let everything come down to the drop down menus and just read. It gives you a little explanation of each super or each aspect or each fragment. And there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever your play style is and whatever you want to experiment using, have at it. If you want to use this aspect with these fragments down below, and as Average said, you have to pay Glimmer to unlock these. Even if you buy the quick kit, they only give you a limited amount of them. You still have to buy the other fragments and aspects if you want to complete that full subclass. And one thing I want to mention here, Glimmer is very hard to come by in the beginning because you want to buy all of these aspects and fragments. My number one thing I would tell you to do when you first start out as a new player Guardian is to go to the patrol areas. I know everyone's just rolling their eyes. No, Gator, no, don't tell them to go to the patrol areas. The patrol areas, you can learn so much. And what's funny is people tell, don't go to the patrol areas. If you look at all the time wasted on Destiny, you know what the number one area is? Patrol areas. Everybody's at the patrol areas doing something, whether you're completing a gun bounty, like get so many kills with an auto rifle, or you're completing the planetary bounty that you're on, that you get from the vendor on the planet, like Shahan on Cosmodrome. But the main thing is you can put a Wombo detector mod on your Ghost when you upgrade it and masterwork it. There's 2 mods you really need to have, 3 actually, that you need to have on your Ghost when you're first a Guardian that will vastly improve the amount of glimmer that you receive and your XP that you get with everything that you're completing. And also there's another mod on your Ghost that will actually show you where to find these resources to give you the glimmer. So the 3 mods I would recommend is to put a Guiding Light Experience Ghost mod. It takes 5 slots. It'll give all your XP gains will increase by 10%. And you'll also have room, if you've masterworked the Ghost, to put on another mod called Wombo Detector, which now only takes 2 slots. It detects these treasure chests or resource nodes within a 50-meter range. And so if you have this on your Ghost, when you look around, peering around or running around a planet, these resources will pop up in front of you as a little icon on your screen. And you go and collect that, and it gives you glimmer and experience, by the way. But the last thing that's really important, and I have a whole video about this, been a very popular video, and this is how you can really farm glimmer fast. There's a mod called Bountiful Harvest. The explanation is this chance to obtain additional glimmer when harvesting. And there's no joke. If you do not have this mod on, it can mean anything. It can mean the difference of 500 glimmer or 250 glimmer to a minimum of 900 to 1500 glimmer. So think about how quickly you can acquire glimmer if you have just this mod set up on one Ghost. And this is my I call it my exploration Ghost. It's where I can go around and farm glimmer. I can look for things in the world, get XP as well. But if you have these 3 mods on your Ghost and you masterworked your Ghost, which takes materials as well and glimmer, it will be a farming machine for you. So keep that in mind. It's a real important thing to do at the beginning when you're starting as a new player, is to collect that glimmer. You can hold 500,000 glimmer right now. They just increased the cap from 250. So keep that in mind as well. You can keep collecting glimmer all the time. All right. I'm off my pulpit. Anything else we want to talk about here before we get to the good news, Average?
No, I think we've pretty much covered most of it, to be honest with you. Just one thing I wanted to quickly add to what you just said was I also recommend public events.
Yes.
Because public events get you a lot of glimmer as well. If you know how to make them heroic, even better.
Yes,
but
yes.
The game obviously doesn't quite explain that. But then again, there's probably enough veterans in the world now to get it heroic for you anyway. Yes, yeah.
You would hope. If you go to a public event, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Average. If you go to a public event, there's a little flag in the ground that says, actually, it's a pretty good indicator on the map, even it'll tell you where the public events are in the worlds. If you click on that, it'll actually give you a countdown timer of when that public event will start. What it will also do, it will fully refill all your ammo, all of your abilities, and your super ability. So keep that in mind and you can only do it one time, unless you fly back in before it expires. You could do it again. That's another matter. It's a little trick of the trade there. But, there are regular public events, and then there's a way you can make them what they call heroic. And the difference really is about 10,000 glimmer. So you can get probably 14,000 or so glimmer from a heroic event, but only get about 4,500 glimmer when you complete a regular public event. I would like to sit here and tell you how to make them heroic. Usually you have to destroy some turrets, or every public event has its own little quirky thing that you have to do. And unfortunately, there's no explanation on how to make it a heroic public event. But you can go to YouTube and just search for heroic public event or how to make a public event heroic, and it will show you the steps on a majority of the public events out there. There's tons. That's one thing I love about this community. There are tons of content creators that try to explain every aspect of this game, including me. I put some videos out there too at ToddtheGatr that show you how to use all kinds of different things in this game. So yeah, I just want to mention that you're mentioning public events were a good. If you could actually farm glimmer with that Ghost I was talking about while waiting for a public event. You can even add more glimmer and accumulate it much faster. So anything else there, Average, you want to add to that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. That was pretty much it. I just wanted to mention the public events because, like we say, get them heroic. They can be a very good source of glimmer.
Yes.
Even, So,
and that's a change they just made too. They didn't used to give you much glimmer when you completed them, but they wanted to encourage more people to do the public events because we're gamers. We're only going to play the activities that give us the most reward, right? That's our gaming mentality. So keep that in mind. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, thanks again for listening to the Destiny Help Desk podcast. You can check out all of my contact information at destinyhelpdeskpodcast.com or visit my Twitter X at ToddtheGatr. Remember, that's 2 Ds and GATR. And finally, my YouTube channel at ToddtheGatr. You can email me at ToddtheGatr@gmail.com for any questions or comments. And if you have a question for the show, you can also send me a voice message at speakpipe.com/Destiny Help Desk, where your message may be played live on a future show. I welcome your questions, as that's my way of helping you. And who knows, maybe there's another Guardian out there with the same question, so you may be helping others without even knowing it. Please rate and review the show on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever podcast app you use, and that review may help make this show visible to other Guardians out there as well. So thank you, and later, Guardian. Now, I did promise at the beginning of the episode that there was some good news, and man, I don't think I've ever seen Bungie do this in the past Destiny game, and this is especially good news for all of you new and returning Guardians out there. Now, before we go, and I know we've thrown a lot at you there, new Guardians, I want to explain how things are going to be changing when you get to the final shape, if you decide to stick it out and play the final shape expansion coming June 4th. There's going to be a way that the power is going to be changing. And this is really good news for you if you're a new player. Right off the bat, you start at 1600 as a new player right now. Your floor power is 1600. Well, as soon as the patch drops or the DLC is downloaded into your console or your PC, the power floor will automatically raise everything in the game to 1900. And there's certain power bands, which is in This Week in Destiny at Bungie.net, is where how Bungie communicates with us in the game about changes coming to the game. But just, this is all you need to know. You have the power floor of 1900. You slowly upgrade your items to make the number 1940. That's called the soft cap. Then you have another level up called the powerful cap, which is 1990. And then you have your max cap or your pinnacle cap of 2000. So you have 100 levels. You can upgrade your gear, and the only way to increase your number is, I would guess you would call it an averages, right? So you have your 3 weapons and you have your 5 pieces of armor. Those combine into a general number. You're going to start out with everything being 1900 when you start the game. But as you start to get drops, whether they're guns or armor pieces, the number of that is going to be a little bit higher than 1900. And what you would do is hang on to your highest piece of gear and your highest weapons. And the game remembers, and as you collect stuff that's higher power, the game will automatically know what your adjusted power is, what your average of all of your power levels are. And as you start collecting more and more things in the game, that number continues to go up. There'll be a certain point where, say you have a gun that you definitely want to hang on to, but you want it to be stronger and you want its power to be higher. There's an economy piece called an upgrade module. You have to have this, and you have to purchase it or get it from the power of the season pass bar or something you have in your inventory. You have to use one of these to increase that number in your weapon or in your armor. So what I would suggest doing is just always hanging on to the highest piece of armor and the highest weapon in each of your 8 slots in that compose your Guardian rank, or your Guardian power, I should say. So I'm really explaining this terribly. I'm trying to explain it well, but when final shape drops, just know that whatever is 1600 right now in the game will instantly become 1900. And slowly but surely you can upgrade your gear until you get to the pinnacle cap or the max cap of 2000. Here's the good news though. Say you have a friend that has been playing a long time, and let's say they have a 2000 power level. They've reached the pinnacle cap. via your artifact, you can go even higher than that, but that's another matter. I'm trying to keep things simple here. They have something called Fire Team Power now. And what they mean by Fire Team Power is that the highest leveled Guardian in your Fire Team, say you decide to join your buddy who's a level 2000, but you're only a 1940, the game will automatically adjust and raise your power up to his power of 2000 minus 5. So you would, if he has a 2000 power Guardian, you're going to have an adjusted power of 1995, which it'll be listed on the bottom right of your screen, right above where you launched the activity. So you'll know what you're going in as. Now, that doesn't mean this is your new power. It just means for this activity, playing with your friend here, you're going to be at that power. What's great about this is you can play with all of your friends that have been playing forever. If you're a new player coming into this game, you will be able to instantly jump in and play with your friends, which isn't that what it's all about? It's playing with your friends. So
Agreed.
This is a really great change that Bungie is making going into the new expansion Final Shape in June. So keep that in mind. That's the new way the power is going to be done. But here's the thing. I wanted to give someone a tip, say they're coming into the game average, and they said, you know what, I want to know what I need to do before Final Shape drops. You know, I've caught up. I know the story of Destiny. I haven't played in a while, and I have a bunch of sunset weapons, weapons that don't increase in power beyond 1600. Well, Bungie has changed that too. Anything that has had a power cap on it has been, quote, sunset, will now be raised up to all the current weapon levels. So when you're instantly 1900, when Final Shape drops, guess what? All your sunset weapons are going to be at 1900 as well. They've removed the caps on all the sunset weapons. So if you have some old Season of the Dawn weapons, like one of my characters does, they're all going to be instantly 1900 power, and you're going to be able to upgrade them for even a larger power number. This is fantastic news for me because I am a hoarder. I collect weapons. Hello, my name is Gator. And I like to hang on to weapons that I really enjoy, whether it's a good feel or has a good perks on it, like the look of the weapon, whatever reason you hang on to that weapon. But for new lights that come in, there's a few things I could tell you need to do right now. A lot of activities are going on right now before the Final Shape drops. We have 6 weeks from the time this podcast comes out until Final Shape. And this is the things I would tell you to do between now and the 6-week period if you really want to get into the final part of the game. First thing I would tell you to do is there's an activity right now called Into the Light. You visit shacks in the back part, another sequestered area of the tower, and it's going on right now until the Final Shape drops. There's a new activity involved in this Into the Light called Onslaught. Think of it as a horde mode, light. Because there's certain arenas where you're going to have mobs of enemies coming at you, just like zombies in Call of Duty. But you have a maximum level of 50 levels that you can make it through. This is a good time to learn how to put builds together, how to test the builds. It's a good time to find out what weapons work for you, what weapons you like, what's doing really good damage to enemies. It's a good time to experiment right now and just get a feel for what you like in Destiny 2, whether it's armor, your mods, your aspects, your fragments, your builds, what supers you like to use, all of this stuff. But more importantly, they're giving out curated roles of a lot of the weapons that we had in the past that were very good weapons. And I tell you what, some of the roles on these weapons are better than anything I have in my vault right now. So the first thing I would tell you to do is to fully engage into the light. It's free. It's a free event. They have these weapons called Brave Weapons. You would go to this sequestered area. It's a Bobcat image or destination on your destination map when you come up to see all the worlds and planets. You go there. Shax, our Crucible vendor, will give you all kinds of different things to do. And he has bounties every day. There's a progression bar where you can unlock materials and economic items in the game. But the most important thing is when you complete these bounties from his assistant called Arsight, right next to him. You can't miss him. When you complete the objectives, you unlock a curated and a beautiful shiny weapon with the curated roles that Bungie thinks will benefit you. And this is the time to start building your arsenal. If you've never played the game before, or you're coming back after a long hiatus, it really is the time to get these weapons. And you can continue to attune them. It's kind of like focusing on the certain type of weapon that you like. And as you play Onslaught, you'll get a 50-50 chance of getting that weapon with a new randomly drawn roll configuration. So you can actually farm these weapons to get the exact rolls that you want. It's really nice. And it's all free. It's all free. So that's one thing. First, right off the bat, I'd tell you to do before playing Final Shape. The next thing I would tell you to do, and people may not agree with me here, but this is just my mentality whenever I'm getting ready for a new season or a new DLC, collect and hoard all the economy items you can right now. Enhancement cores, ascendant shards, and ascendant alloys, upgrade modules, which you can only hold 25 between your 3 characters. This can also be unlocked through season pass completions. If you decide to buy this season's pass bar, you can unlock a lot of this stuff, but just by playing the game. But I would start collecting all of your economy items that you're going to need once you start getting these really new weapons coming from the new Final Shape game. And lastly, the thing I would tell you to do, and there's going to be some people who don't agree with me here, there's 2 schools of thought when it comes to getting ready for a new DLC, and that is bounty stacking. I know, although we're going to be instantly at 1900 power at the start, there's this little thing called an artifact that gives you all kinds of special mods that are just curated for the season. And the only way to unlock those mods, it's like on a grid, and it's down below your ghost on your left. If you're looking at your user interface of your Guardian, it's going to be on the lower left, right below your ghost in your ship. If you remember, that's one of the things to do in the Guardian rank system, is to go collect your artifact for that season. It's just a little story mission you got to do to collect it. But in the new season, you're going to be getting a brand new artifact from the one you have this season. And if you stack your bounties and cash them all in after you collect the new artifact for the next season, all the XP from turning in all those bounties will instantly be applied to your artifact. And artifact power and unlocking artifact mods will be instantaneously unlocked. Not all of them, but it'll give you a really good head start on the new season and the new DLC. Those are the things I would tell you to do right now, getting ready for the Final Shape. And Average, jump in here. I know there's some things you want to mention that you're doing to get ready for the Final Shape, or something that you would suggest right now. If someone was listening to this podcast right now and decided to jump into Destiny 2 tomorrow, what would you tell them they need to do? I know it's a loaded question, but I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. Well, I mean, you've already covered Onslaught. I was going to suggest the same thing as well, because like you say, it'll give you a way to test your builds, test new weapons, and the loot that you get from them is pretty good as well, especially if you obviously reach the later waves. It can give you exotic shards and all sorts. So yeah, completely, I second that one on Onslaught, 100%. And again, also, bounty hoarding, like you say, it gives you a real good head start, especially if you're looking to get into the raid early, because as we know, or as maybe you don't know, the actual raid date has dropped, and it's not very long after the Final Shape has dropped itself. So if you want to try and, gain a slight advantage into going into the raid, if you're going to attempt it day one, then obviously, bounty stacking and bounty hoarding is an excellent idea, because it just gives you that little bit of extra help to get ready. I mean, I'd recommend playing this season's story. I think this season's story certainly sets up what's going to happen into the Final Shape. So, seasonal stories now, especially with how long the season's been out, you can pretty much do the whole seasonal story in one sitting, more or less. So I would, definitely recommend going through the seasonal story, so it gives you a bit more of a clue as to, what we're actually trying to do in order to get into the Traveller in the Final Shape. So that would be another one I recommend. And just generally enjoy yourself, really. I'd say Destiny 2's in a pretty decent place right now, especially with the new free content and the Into the Light. So, yeah, I mean, I would say actually now's a good time to dip back into it and, you know, get ready for the conclusion to the Light and Dark story.
Yeah, and one thing I did want to mention, too, that new players probably weren't aware of, there's a new event coming this week. It's called Pantheon. It's an actual, it's a raid boss rush activity where where basically what they're doing is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but they haven't told a whole lot about it. Other than you're going to be facing different raid bosses every week, it'll increase in number. So you'll face more raid bosses every week. And I think it's for the full 6 weeks, I believe, right? Up until,
it's up until the final shape. Yeah. Until the final shape drops. Yeah.
If you're wanting to get into raiding and you want to know how to do DPS, how to work together as a team to knock out bosses and to kill bosses. I mean, that's always been a favorite thing for me when I played video games back in the day. I know I'm old. I played in the arcades. It was all about that boss, right? You get through all the little ads, you get through all the enemies, and at the very end, a big giant boss would come out, right? That just got me gassed every time I played a video game. Is all right, the boss is here. We're at the pinnacle event. Here we go. The Pantheon activity, I believe, is free as well to the public. Yes. And this is a good way to learn how to take down a raid boss. And yes, I don't know if it's, I think it's matchmaking. Do you know if it's matchmaking or not, Average? They never really said anything about that.
No, they haven't divulged that yet. I'm pretty sure they haven't told us that yet.
You will need a team of 6 people. I believe it's 6 people to get into this. And I will say this. If you need someone to play with, you need a group to play with, or you want to meet some people who like Destiny, GuardianDowncast.com is the place to go. We have all of our contacts there. We have our Discord server. You can join up and jump in and start talking with the Guardians we have people all over the place, experience wise in our Guardian Downcast community. Some people are coming in after a long hiatus. Some people are brand new to the game and are just trying to learn it. We have channels where you can talk and ask questions. There's a new player channel where you can ask questions, and a lot of us veterans will chime in and answer them for you. There's a lore channel if you want to know something about lore, or you just want to BS and get to know some people. Discord.gg/Guardian Downcast is a place to go. It's where I host the Guardian Downcast podcast, which is my other podcast, and of course, Destiny Help Desk podcast, which is the one you're listening to right now. I really highly suggest you go there. Community is really what it's all about. If you want to jump into these activities coming up, or you want to get caught up really quick in the game, this is a first start that would really help you out. And don't be afraid to chime in. You join our Discord. Don't be afraid to if you want to lurk, that's fine. We don't require you to talk, but we encourage you to ask questions, especially if you're new to the game or you're coming back and you're trying to get caught up on what's going on. Another thing I want to mention too is there are several videos on YouTube that talk about the entire story of Destiny. There's one video I watched that actually plays every cutscene in the game since the original Destiny. There's one that does it in Destiny 2, and it doesn't take long. You can search anywhere on YouTube, and it's easy to find these videos. If you want to just get caught up on the story, the basic story of what the game has presented to us, there's videos on YouTube you can go to that will tell you the entire story of Destiny. And buckle up. There's a lot of cutscenes. I think this video was like 2.5, 3 hours long. Yeah. So break it up into chunks. Save the video for later. Come back and watch the next chapter of Destiny. And that is one way where you don't have to go in and wander around and wonder what the heck are these people talking about. And you'll watch one of these videos, and it's basically the cutscenes from the game. No embellishment. Nobody's talking over you or over the cutscenes. It's just where you can go and just listen to basically all of the past stories of all the campaign stories, even promotional trailers of what's coming up next, all in chronological order. It's really a great service, whoever made these videos, to our community. So just want to throw that out there as well. If you really just want to get a fast forward, boom, I want to get into it. Let's get some weapons collected. Let's get some glimmer. Let's farm some glimmer. Let's get some cool weapons we can start off using right off the bat, and some cool builds and some cool armor. Now's the time, Guardian. Now's the time to do it. Well, average. Thanks, man. This was a great show, man. I wanted to spend this much time with you on our roundtable show. Any final words?
No, I think that's pretty much everything covered, to be honest with you. Just hope that someone out there somewhere finds this useful. You know, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is the easiest time to get into Destiny 2. Like I said, there's some stuff you'll need to go through as far as the story if you want to learn the story, but cluck weapons, getting your power is going to be automatically raised with everyone else when Final Shape drops. So I would say not even worry about power, but here's a kicker. When you go visit Shaxx and Into the Light, you're instantly brought up to the cap of this season, which is 1810. Now, come on. You can't beat that. It gives you some exotic weapons. It gives you some exotic gear for your character that you're bringing in. I mean, it's really a great start, and it's all free. It's all free. You get a bunch of legendary armor pieces, all at 1810 power. Like I said, I had a dormant character that I'm using in the Guardian Downcast 2 clan right now, and these are exactly the steps I'm going to go through getting ready for Final Shape. And I just hope that this helps you out and that we were able to at least bring you up to speed somewhat on our experience in the new player campaign for Destiny 2. And unfortunately, Bungie's kind of thrown their hands up in the air as far as trying to explain everything. So that's why Average and I decided to make this show today. It's just never been a better time to jump in here and let's get it done. Let's get it done. Well, Average Destiny 2 player, thank you again for stopping by and helping me explain some of these gosh, man, it's a deep rabbit hole, isn't it? Of trying to explain all of the things that we have had to learn over this 10-year period, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%. But no, I very much appreciate the invite, and it was good to have a chat with you and discuss some of these things.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you again, man. Well, hey, if someone was wanting to reach out and talk to you on the interwebs or follow what you're doing out there, where might they find you, sir?
Well, I am mostly active on Twitter. So if you want to contact me on there, I am at AD2P_Twitch. I also do have a Twitch channel myself, which I have been streaming on again just recently. If you just search Average D2 Player, you can find me there. And then, also I'm on the GDC Discord. So if you want to contact me on any Discords, pay us a visit on there and just shoot us across a DM or tag us in a post.
Excellent, man. I'm glad you're streaming again. Your streams are very entertaining. That is for sure. You guys definitely have a lot of fun when you're streaming and doing raids and stuff. So I can attest. So thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
The pleasure's all mine.
Well, there you have it. I know it was a fire hose of information, but feel free to rewind and go back and listen to this episode again as many times as you need to. It really is the best time to jump into Destiny 2, and hopefully today's episode helped at least to convince you to jump in and try this beautiful world. And Bungie has stated publicly that this game will keep going beyond the Final Shape expansion with episodic content, and there's even some pretty solid rumors of a Destiny 3. So it only goes up from here, Guardian. So now's the time. Go to GuardianDowncast.com for all my contact information and my other podcast where I talk with the Destiny community. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. And later, Guardian. What? Everyone's tapped their controller, man. Come on. There's no shame in that. Give me my bounties.